Crypto kids, welcome back to another video. And in today's video, Bitcoin has reached $47,800. We're sitting at a very critical level that will decide the fate of Bitcoin if we can soar to the past all-time high or face a massive rejection that will take us back down to the 40K areas. So stay tuned to find out. We have a lot of charts to share. We'll go into multiple time frames. If you do enjoy this video, most importantly, smash up the like button. That would be very much appreciated. Helps out the algorithm a lot. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell to not miss out when patterns of such form and can lead to huge breakouts. We discussed this on 2 videos ago. And of course, a week ago on the Moon Show, we were talking about the inverse head and shoulders structure that if it were to break out, alongside the bullish pennant, it could be an idea to open a long position. So that's what I did with a take profit of 46.9K. And now that take profit has been met and we're above it. And the reason why it was 46.9, crucial level of resistance. So far, the trade is in, with 2x leverage, it's in almost 20% profits. The only issue was I didn't add more capital to it as we were breaking out from the bullish pennant because it happened late at night, but it's fine. At least I can buy my family McDonald's, right? Every one of them can get a nice cheeseburger, Happy Meal. A Happy Meal would be cool. But anyways, if you guys were able to add more capital and enter into a bigger trade, massive congrats. Let me know in the comment section below if you were able to make some nice profits with this breakout. But yeah, let's jump into the TA straight away. We'll get into the breaking news and why Bitcoin is seeing the pump that it's experiencing in this current candle. But looking on the 4-hourly time frame, we can see the huge volatility going in this current candle as we speak. But going into the the daily chart I was mentioning, if Bitcoin breaks above this prior line of, well, now it's support again, then Bitcoin could be heading a lot higher. And that's what exactly happened. We were forming a rising wedge, and this rising wedge broke towards the upside. And look, it's amazing. We mentioned that it could go a lot higher if we broke this line. And now we're facing resistance at the 47K area that on the weekly time frame is something to be looked out for, because on the weekly we had a test to this 47K level back in March of 2022, and this led to a massive downfall by 67%, taking Bitcoin from 47K all the way down to 15.5K. Hold on, am I saying this will happen again? No, but it's definitely a very important level to be looking out for, just in case. Because if Bitcoin flips above it with a bullish close on this week's candle, which will be coming in 2 days and 10 hours, then we could be expecting Bitcoin to trade at 51.8K. If that's broken too, then 69K. Hold your horses. I know things look very, very bullish, extremely bullish. There's an issue, and the issue is Bitcoin has been printing green candles for the last 6 candles in a row. And the only time that this happened, other than now, was in the cycle between 2020 and 2021. And this led to an increase from all the way down from $11,000 to $66,000. That was approximately a 500-ish% increase. And looking at what we're seeing now, the move is happening before the halving. Last time, it was after the halving. And what happens is, usually the halving event comes around and Bitcoin hits an all-time high a year after. The momentum, strangely enough, is kicking in before, and Bitcoin usually sees a dump beforehand. And that's not what's happening. And the higher something goes up, the more force it has when it goes down. So that's the only concern I have for Bitcoin. It would have been awesome to retest at least the bull and bear market support band, which Bitcoin tends to do before a halving event. That would have taken us to 37.8K. 34.5 would have been ideal, but Bitcoin didn't decide to do this, and now it's pumping even more and staying within this parabola that we drew multiple months ago. So yes, it's bullish, but I am scared if Bitcoin doesn't go above this resistance at 47K, we could be crash landing harder than we expected. And according to, I believe it was by Ali Charts, was it? No, it was by Nunya. This is something also cool that I'll get into. But CryptoCon over on Axis posted that whenever Bitcoin tests in every single cycle, the 61.8 on the Fibonacci, we do tend to see on average a 20% correction or more. Actually, we've seen 51%, 40%, then 53%. Will the same happen this time around? Time will tell. The only thing I know is that if that does happen, I'll be going all into Bitcoin because waiting is not a good idea. I've been DCing in. We mentioned that approximately 89 days before the halving event is the most profitable time to be buying up Bitcoin, accumulating Bitcoin in terms of on-chain analysis. Of course, nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just data, TA that I look at. Always come to your own conclusions when trading or investing. And something also pretty cool to check out is this. So every time Bitcoin breaks above the prior 2 years or the prior 2-year opens high, right, we tend to go up a lot higher. So what I mean by is, for example, in 2014, the year opened at around this price level, and 2 years after, Bitcoin broke out of it and new all-time highs were made. In 2018, same thing. Bitcoin closed the candle. 2 years later, we broke above it. New all-time highs were created. Is the same going to happen? In 2022, we're about to break above $47,000. Once we do it, or if we do it with a confirmation, Bitcoin may break the all-time high and go to higher levels. So this was also another interesting point that I wanted to mention. Props to Nunia for posting this. Pretty cool analysis. And one more thing on top of this, which is super bullish in terms of technical standpoint, is that Bitcoin fired a buy on the super trend monthly time frame. So it's a macro time frame. Usually when we do fire the buy, Bitcoin can come down, like it happens. Because it's such a macro time frame. But on the long term, usually it goes a lot higher than the drops we experience in between. So another super bullish factor in terms of TA. But going into the breaking news, the ETF saw $405 million worth of inflows yesterday, and that is the third highest sum since their inception. We're seeing the outflows shrink and the inflows actually overtake them by a huge amount. And when we see the halving event, the total Bitcoin available on the market will drop from 900 Bitcoin to 450 Bitcoin. And with the ETFs accumulating, let's say on average, $100 million worth of Bitcoin per day in terms of the 5 trading days we have in a week, then this amount will be bought up at a point where there's just not going to be enough Bitcoin for everyone. There'll be a supply shock, and in basic economic fundamentals, if supply decreases and demand increases, well, then the price should be heading a lot higher. So this is super bullish. And if we compare the total inflows that Bitcoin is seeing into the ETFs with GLD, the BlackRock Gold ETF that everyone was, hyping about before the actual launches, we can see that the momentum is very similar. And in the long term, we may see an exponential growth up, and that would add to the Bitcoin price, hopefully increasing as well. The one difference that we have is that GLD, well, these reserves or inflows are not verified on the blockchain, or there's no really proof that this gold exists. However, in terms of Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin is accumulated on chain, we can verify the actual accumulation of this Bitcoin. So it's much more legit. And in terms of an inflationary environment, I would always prefer buying Bitcoin instead of gold. So I think Bitcoin will surpass the market cap of gold eventually. And that's why I am super, super bullish. And going into other news, the Fear and Greed Index is sitting at around 72 when Bitcoin was trading at 46.7. I think there's still more room to go, but be careful. We are in greed. And going into other news, there's 2 factors why the price of Bitcoin has been pumping so much 2 days specifically. Number one, because the Chinese stock outflows have been going into the US, UK, and EU markets. That's impacting the price of Bitcoin because, the S&P 500 has crossed a new all-time high. It went above 5,000. And since we have, the presence of we have the presence of the ETFs, the money flowing in to the stock market is indirectly or directly flowing into Bitcoin as well. So with the Roth IRAs, the hedge funds, etc. So that's been adding to the pump that we've been seeing today. Secondly speaking, Putin, the president of Russia, I believe this was with the interview he did with Tucker Carlson yesterday. He mentions that what does the $33 trillion debt tell us? They won't stop printing, and he's referring to the United States here. Even the US allies are downsizing their USD reserves, and everybody's looking for ways to protect themselves. Now, the latest data shows us that the national debt is sitting at $34.2 trillion. And most governments in the world follow a Keynesian economic structure where, they offer 0% interest rates to institutions and banks. So they pump up the stock market and they realize that, okay, this is not sustainable. So they raise interest rates and inflation goes up. The cycle goes down, right? And this kind of repeats every single time. I'll be doing a full detailed podcast on this in the upcoming week, so stay tuned for that. But because it's an unsustainable model, when they give out these 0% interest rate loans, they create new debt. And once this new debt is issued, they can't pay it back. So more and more of that builds up in a very massive nutshell. And currently we're sitting at $34.2 trillion worth of national debt. And eventually this will implode on itself. And if the US dollar does begin losing its value, then Bitcoin when measured against the USD, it should be hypothetically going up in value since it's also been classified as a commodity, a hedge against inflation, which is what a commodity is, usually speaking, and been compared to gold multiple times. I think that Bitcoin could, against USD, go up to perhaps $1 million, right? And that would be initiating a super cycle. But eventually, Bitcoin will be measured, or items or objects, etc., goods and services, they will be measured against Bitcoin. We won't be measuring Bitcoin against something else because one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. But just an interesting point to bring up and discuss in terms of super cycle, I think that's what can happen if we're expecting Bitcoin to reach $1 million in the next 5-10 years. If the US dollar does devalue, then yeah, it is definitely possible. But I think that is pretty much it in terms of the news that we have. It's looking super bullish overall. We just need to be careful with this current Bitcoin price level. If we go higher from here, awesome. We can expect 51.8K. But if Bitcoin finds resistance and shows signs of a drawback down, then we could be looking at, the 42.5 and then 41.5K levels once more. But I'll be updating you guys as the Bitcoin price moves in the Telegram channel and, of course, on the YouTube channel too. So stay tuned, subscribe, and join the free Telegram channel. I post my TA and updates before I can make a YouTube video itself, and it's completely for free. But guys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful weekend ahead, and I will see you all very soon. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.